Imagine driving through Peruvian Andes until the roads disappear beneath a landscape of snow, rock, and thin mountain air. There are almost no trees, no comfortable valleys, no obvious reason for a town to exist here. Then suddenly you see it. Buildings scattered across the mountainside, roads packed with people, metal roofs stretching toward the horizon. This is La Rinconada, Peru, at roughly 5,100 meters above sea level. It is widely recognized as the highest permanent settlement in the world. And at first glance, it seems like a place humans were never supposed to call home. So why is it here? La Rinconada sits near Mount Anania in southeastern Peru, surrounded by the enormous Andes. The environment is extreme. The air contains far less oxygen than at sea level. Temperatures can drop below freezing, and the landscape is almost completely treeless. Even reaching the town is difficult. Yet thousands of people have made this remote mountain their home. And the reason is buried beneath their feet: gold. For centuries, people in this region have searched for precious metals. But during the modern gold boom, La Rinconada expanded rapidly. Workers arrived from other parts of Peru, hoping to earn money from the mines. And the higher the gold prices climbed, the more attractive the mountain became. The town grew around the mines. Houses appeared, stores opened, roads filled with vehicles. Families arrived. What had once been a rough mining camp slowly became something much stranger, a real town. For the people living there, La Rinconada wasn't an abstract geographical curiosity. It was home. Miners went underground to work. Businesses sold food and supplies. Children grew up among buildings surrounded by mountains. For a while, the settlement seemed to prove that humans could adapt to almost anywhere. But there was a problem. The town grew much faster than its infrastructure. Basic services remained limited. Waste accumulated. Sanitation became a major challenge. And mining created serious environmental problems, including contamination associated with informal gold processing. Then there was the altitude itself. At more than 5,000 meters, the human body is exposed to an environment with dramatically reduced oxygen availability. Scientists have studied people living at extreme elevations to understand how the human body adapts. But for residents, this isn't a scientific experiment. It's everyday life. So why don't they simply leave? Because the answer isn't really about geography. It's about opportunity. Gold mining in La Rinconada has often operated through informal systems. One famous arrangement, known as Cocorio, has allowed miners to work without a conventional wage in exchange for opportunities, to keep whatever gold they can extract during certain periods. It's uncertain, it's difficult, and there's no guarantee of success. But for someone with limited economic opportunities, the possibility of finding valuable gold can be powerful enough to justify living in one of the harshest inhabited environments on Earth. And that's the paradox. The mountain makes life extremely difficult. But the mountain is also the reason people come. Today, La Rinconada remains a sprawling mining settlement high in the Andes. Its population estimates vary, but reports have placed a community in the tens of thousands. There are shops, homes, roads, electricity, mine entrances, and thousands of people moving through the streets. From a distance, it can look almost unreal. A dense settlement surrounded by a landscape that appears completely empty. But La Rinconada isn't abandoned. It's alive. And that's what makes it so fascinating. The town exists because humans found something valuable in a place that otherwise offers very little. Remove the gold, and the logic of the settlement becomes difficult to explain. The cold remains. The thin air remains. The isolation remains. But the reason for being there disappears. And that raises a bigger question. Why do humans repeatedly build communities in places that seem impossible? The answer is usually simpler than it appears. People follow resources. They follow jobs. They follow trade routes, farmland, minerals, and opportunities. And when technology allows them to survive somewhere difficult, they push even farther. La Rinconada is simply one of the most extreme examples. Humans didn't choose this mountain because it was comfortable. They chose it because something underneath it was valuable. And eventually, something strange happened. The place stopped being just a mining camp. It became someone's home, a worker's home, a family's home, a community's home. That's perhaps the real mystery of La Rinconada. Not why people built a town there. We know the answer. Gold brought them. The harder question is why people continued to stay. Because once people build lives somewhere, leaving isn't always as simple as looking at a map and choosing a better place. Memories form, families grow, communities develop, and a place that once existed only because of mine can become something much harder to abandon. High above the Andes, La Rinconada still clings to the mountain. The air is thin, the landscape is unforgiving, and life is far from easy. Yet people remain. Because sometimes a town doesn't survive because a place is easy to live in. It survives because somewhere along the way, the impossible place becomes home.